Hello, this is TMNT and welcome back to another review on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TMNT and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Volume 2, issue number 3. Oh my god, this issue was really great. I'm loving where this whole series is going, and I can't wait for the actual next issue. This issue was really great for so many different things, and yeah, I just want to get straight into this one. So first off with the invasion of Rita Repulsa on New York City, but back at the Power Ranger base we do get to see that Bebop and Scorpina are attacking the Shredder, who is now working with the Power Rangers. So I must admit it is quite weird to see Shredder working with the Turtles again, and I do think that with the way that they handle it in this series is somewhat kind of bad compared to how the RW series does it. Just because with this version of Shredder, with how he's doing things, where he's working with the Power Rangers, but you know, he's still bad, it doesn't really work that well. And I think the main reason why it doesn't really work too well is just because of how limited this whole story is going to be, and how short it has to be really. So it just comes off as like, you know, Shredder's just there working with the Power Rangers, but you know, he's still evil, so I don't know where they're really going to be going with all this, but it just feels kind of weird. But that is when we do get to see that Raphael comes in contact with Casey Jones and Baxter Stockman, and that is when that Baxter Stockman he cuts some wires from the Zordon base and stuff like that, and then things go wrong, and that's basically when all the Power Rangers and the Turtles lose their connection to the morphing grid, so that they lose the connection, so that they don't have their power coins or something. Basically, they don't have the suits. That's all I can really say about that. So that causes the Turtles and the Power Rangers who are in New York to actually retreat back to the Turtles' lair. Now this is where things get a whole lot more interesting, just because Billy comes up with the idea that basically that they could use mutant to basically use on the power coins to mutate into the dinosaurs which their Power Rangers are based off of. And I must admit, I do think that this whole thing is a really interesting and really unique idea, just because of what it is. It's just so unique and creative, and I just love it for that. But then in the next scene we do get to see Rita Repulsa and General Krang are at the Power Ranger base, and do ask Casey Jones what the Turtles will be doing next. And I must admit, I do find it quite interesting that Casey did actually get somewhat accurate in terms of how the Turtles would be acting, and I did find that really interesting, and the fact that Casey actually told Rita to actually go full force with the invasion. I just find it a really interesting thing just because of what's happening with Casey. I just think it's really interesting, and I'm somewhat looking forward to see the whole ramifications of this and all the consequences for his actions for doing this. And I do think it could be really interesting to see if they do follow anything up on this in a future series or something like that. But I must admit, so far with this little bit here, it's amazing. So in the next scene we do get to see April going around New York City, going hiding in different spots because they're trying to get some information about the bad guys. But that's when Beam and Rocksteady discover her, and that's when she calls in her friends, and that's when we get to see the Turtles come in, and that's when we get to see the Power Rangers are here. And that's when things get a whole lot more interesting, just because I think it's Jason, he steps up and says it's mutating time, and then they mutate into the dinosaurs, and oh my god, it's really interesting, fascinating for so many different reasons, and it worked, and oh my god, it was just amazing. And I must admit, I do think that this whole section of the comic was probably where things got a whole lot more fun and a lot more interesting, and probably some of the best parts about this series so far. Just because we do get to see that the Power Rangers are interacting in their mutant form and taking out bad guys, which is just amazingly good. I can't put this into words because of how amazing this is. And I must admit, another thing which I did really enjoy about this scene, which I did enjoy about issue 1, was the fact that the Turtles were interacting with the Rangers, so they did have different interactions. And again, I absolutely loved that. I do think that they had some really fun and interesting interactions between each other, such as I think it was Kimberly and Raphael, you got Tommy and Leonardo. I thought that was really interesting, fascinating interactions, and I definitely do want to see more of them. Now that is when we do get to see that Musminter comes in and starts taking out some of the bad guys as well. And with this bit here, I don't really read too much to really say about it. It just feels like he should hold into it just so they can sort of even things out. And also, not to mention, just to give him something to do, and it feels though that he was their type of character. So, you know, there's not really too much I can really say there. But that's when Casey Jones comes in, and then that's when he reveals to Leonardo that he's been a good guy all along, and he's just trying to basically be an inside man on the job for the good guys, but working for the bad guys, and try and get all the information. But yet he's been doing all these bad stuff. So I would be somewhat surprised if it was like a big reveal or big plot twist was the fact that he was actually working with the bad guys all along. That would be really interesting, but I don't really see that happening. And I must admit, I do think that with like what Casey did say, with basically saying that they do need to go a bit more offensive and not defensive and stuff like that, I do think that was really interesting to see it from his point of view. But at the same time, I do think that because it is in this like crossover universe type thing, and not in an actual main TMNT ongoing series or universe, it doesn't like weaken the message, just because you don't really feel the full impact of it, and you don't really connect to these versions of the characters. So I do think that what Casey was doing was really good. I just don't think it would have had like the same impact if it was on a universe which like with the Turtles, which we actually cared about. But that is when we do get to see the Turtles teaming up with Shredder and walk through the portal to go into Dimension X to take on General Krang. And yeah, that's where we left the issue off. Now I must admit, overall this issue was a really great one. I absolutely love all the things in this issue. I love all the action, the artwork was amazing, the colours was amazing, everything about it was amazing. But I do think that the things that really did bring this issue up like a whole nother level was the fact that we got mutating Power Rangers with all their different forms and abilities. And then also the other thing which I really did enjoy, and like another thing which I already mentioned, was the fact that these characters are interacting with like different characters and not just the typical ones which you expect to see from the last one, which is like, you know, we've got Trini and Mikey. But now in this issue we get to see him interacting with Jason and Billy. I do think that's really fascinating and really interesting, and it's a shame that it might end here with the interactions. I hope it doesn't, because I really do want to see a lot more of them. But yeah, I must admit, overall this issue was absolutely great, and I'm really looking forward to see where things does go, just because I do feel as though that there's a lot of possibility in terms of what could potentially happen. I don't think with all the things which did start up in this issue with the mutated Power Rangers, there is like a lot of potential with this whole idea with terms of like what they could do. I just don't think they're going to use it to the full advantage that they do have it as. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame. And it would be interesting to see if they could bring this whole mutating Power Ranger thing into the Power Ranger comics. I doubt it, but it would be pretty cool if they did. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below what you think about this issue, as I feel so this whole issue was really interesting for a whole lot of different other reasons that I probably haven't mentioned. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today, guys. If you do awesome, please share, like, subscribe, and all stuff. Goodbye, yo, bye.